It's a matter of beating the odds. If I had had my cardiac arrest 5 minutes later, I would have been alone backstage in a small changing area, and they would not have missed me until I missed my next entrance about 10 minutes later, and I would have been dead.
Hello, and welcome to our next edition of Beating Cardiac Odds. This is a podcast that I created so we can have conversations with people associated with sudden cardiac arrest, whether they are a survivor or a co survivor, someone in the medical field, maybe a first responder, but anything that has to do with sudden cardiac arrest. This is what we're all about. Uh, this episode, we are going to be talking to Warren Bowles. Warren, how are you doing, my friend?
All right, Greg, how are you?
Doing great. We have known each other, just through our monthly Zoom calls for what, at least 2, 3 years, somewhere there, if not
Yes,
more.
yes, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we saw each other, of course, in Phoenix at the last
Hmm.
CASS, which is the Cardiac Arrest Survival Summit. And when I saw you, I gave
Hmm.
you a big hug because you're just one of the coolest guys. And frankly, you've got an amazing story. And uh, you mentioned before we started rolling that I do video and TV production as my real job. And that's why I've got this little setup going. And so I am really, really great at being behind the camera. I am not be doing this where I've got to be in front of the camera. That ain't me. That's you. you are on the stage, baby. You've got no fear. And where I'm just like, when I'm directing someone to do whatever, in the video that I'm producing, I'm like, do this, do this. I'm like, now camera's on, the lens is pointed toward me. It's like, oh shit. But you know what? I got to
So
tell
now
you, I'm
you've got
getting
to give
better and
us
better.
credit for what we do sitting there.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. So Warren, uh, tell me, let's start it this way. Tell me about your family, please, sir.
Uh, I was raised in southwestern Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas, a household of my mother as a single mom, her brother, and my grandmother. Uh, I was raised in a pretty conservative area of the country and Catholic upbringing. We were the only Black Catholic family in our town, and I went to parochial school. It was kind of interesting because I was very good as an altar boy, and this is in the days that we had the Latin Mass and all. And I thought for sure I wanted to be a Catholic priest. And what I learned subsequently is that no, I think the big part of it is I liked being up there on stage. That was the place that I belonged.
And when
Um,
did you have a moment when you were a kid, when you got on stage, you did what you did, and you're like, oh yeah, this is it.
it was pretty much a constant thing, and yeah, I there was an ease there, and we were in a sea city, meaning we had a bishop. And like I say, I was reasonably precocious as a kid, so I was one of the best in the of the altar boys and taught Latin to the other. And my kind of stump speech moment is in the Catholic Mass. You have two special altar boys for the bishop. One carries the crozier, which is the golden shepherd's staff, and one carries the mitre, which is the bishop's little pointy hat and all. And Don got to do the crozier only because he was much taller than I was. I was much better than he was, but I don't hold that against him at all. And we had little special cloths over our shoulders, so that we didn't touch them and all. And I always thought because they were so sacred and all. And the bishop once said to me, "No, Warren, it's because you're little boys, and little boys have grubby fingers a lot of the time, and we don't want you touching this white mitre." But as I say, as the only um, Black Catholic family, and dealing with race in that time period, we're talking the late 50s, early 60s, is a reasonably difficult thing. But in the Catholic Mass, there's a point in the Mass where we have the censer, the incense burner, the little Catholic smudge pot, basically.
Sure.
And the bishop takes that and smudges the whole sanctuary area. And then he hands the censer back to one of the altar boys, me, who comes downstage and faces the congregation. And I raise the censer, and 300 white people drop to their knees. How could I not want to be up there for the rest of my life?
Oh, the power you hold, baby.
That's my
It's kind of like Darth Vader. He does his thing and it all just happens.
yes,
And you've got the voice.
absolutely.
Oh, how about that to put that together? You've got a great voice like James Earl Jones, And that's one thing that, if I had the choice of, good looking face or a great voice, oh my God, I'd take a voice like that.
Oh, I tend to agree with you.
Oh,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
the
yeah.
some of the voices that I because I live in that world and there is nothing just that gives me chills when I hear just this great voice. And so okay, we took a left turn there. Okay, well, my Julie is from Kansas. She was born in Hutchinson and raised in Salina, Kansas. I don't know if you ever knew that.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah,
Yes, and know both of them very well.
yeah.
Yeah.
She went to she from I think like the age of like 3 or 4 somewhere in there. She was in Salina. She graduated from Salina Central, and then as soon as she could get the heck out of Dodge, Kansas, she was watching an SMU Mustangs football game on TV, and she was like, "Oh, the Mustangs." The Salina Central Mustangs. I don't have to change my mascot. And it's warm in Dallas, right, Dad? Yes, it's warmer than it is in Kansas. And she goes sight unseen. She applies and gets in and goes to SMU, or we would never have
And
been
I
met.
went the other direction because, like I said, I thought I wanted to be a Catholic priest.
Yeah,
And so I came up to Onamia to the Crozier Fathers. And I tell them, and only half facetiously, because I like their costume. I like the habit with the white cassock and the little surplice in black and the little red and white cross and all. And then, so I came up there for high school. As you say, getting out of Dodge as soon as you can, for me, quite literally.
yep,
And 4 years later, I left saying I would never set foot in Minnesota again because it had been incredibly cold winters a couple of times.
sure.
And 4 years later, I was back for grad school.
Wow. So you got your love of stage when you stood up, you raised your hand, and you had 200 white family members kneel to your greatness. And and so, did you do theater in high school, college? Tell me about that.
I did some in high school. We didn't, like I say, it was a seminary, so it was an all male school.
Sure.
We each class would have, or at least the sophomore, juniors, and seniors would have a class play, and then there would be a general school play, and I did those. I did some public speaking contests. We had our little quirk medal contest. So I did pretty much as I could. And then, like I said, I just came to the realization that uh, it it wasn't for me, and went to my spiritual advisor and said, I don't believe any of this anymore. And I thought he would say, okay, here's how we will do prayer and work and all and get you back on track. And he said, then you should leave. And I
Wow.
did.
Wow. You must have had conviction in when you're telling him that he understood. He got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, um, you know what? I don't know this about you, even though I know you decently well. Um, do you make a living just doing theater work, or is that a side gig?
I have been one of the fortunate ones that my tax returns all say performer on them. My
And that's
side
what I
gigs,
thought.
yeah, my
And
side gigs have usually been I supplement it with teaching some, and now I'm to the point that I do work kind of when people offer or when I want to, but I don't desperately pursue it. I start on Tuesday a show I'm directing locally, Katari Hall's The Mountaintop, which we'll do at the Artistry, a smaller theater here in town. But yeah, I've been a theater professional my whole career.
even in a city the size of Dallas, even though it's not like New York, LA, or Chicago, or Atlanta, is and I've hired talent quite a bit for doing being a spokesperson or something like that. It is a very, very small number of people, even in the size of Dallas Fort Worth, that make a full time living doing talent type work. And so I thought that was the case, but I was like, I didn't want to assume. But that's
Yeah,
phenomenal, Warren. That is so great.
yeah.
I'm so happy for you. Okay, tell me about your family.
Like I say, it's my mother, my uncle, my grandmother, uh, down in Kansas. Currently, I'm married to my wife. We got married in uh, let me get this right, in
Don't mess this up.
1991. Yeah, in 1991. We first got together in 1985. So married, no children. We've had dogs, which we prefer, and yeah,
That is so wonderful. Okay. And is your wife in the theater business at all, or
no, no,
she puts up with you?
uh, most of the time. No, she got her degree in visual arts. She over the years for her day job kind of thing, she was usually a picture framer, and then eventually she went into floral arts. But she does her own artwork, a lot of paper making and decorating. She does a lot of collages, uh, and now she spends a lot of time getting back into drawing, and she did a lot of print work when she was in college.
So she's
Uh,
on the creative side.
oh, absolutely,
Okay,
yes,
yeah. Well, that's
yeah.
why she puts up with you.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
And I take
if you're
advantage
married
of
to
the
an
fact that I trust her eye on most things.
absolutely. And if she were an accountant, she wouldn't know what to do with you. And vice versa, probably.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh my God, that is so great. Love it. Okay. Um, Tell me about your sudden cardiac arrest. Tell me that story.
Uh, it to me it's an interesting thing when um the playwright for the show I was in at the time, called Neighbors, was saying once people had kept asking him about the event, and he said, "Well, Warren, you should find a way of telling your story and all." And the odd thing is that it ends up not being my story, because I wasn't there.
You did the
I,
easy part.
yeah, yeah. Um, I have no real conscious memory of 2 days before or about 4 or 5 days after. And it's fascinating, as you hear when we're in the calls with other survivors and all, there is no one unique cardiac arrest story.
Not at
We
all.
hear people who were very much aware of what was going on. When they were being shocked, they were aware of it. They were in the ambulance and aware and all. And there are a number of us. I used to think that it was the majority, and I see now that it isn't. Who it's uh, how would I describe it? It's like you're going on, I'm having this wonderful conversation with Grit, and gone, absolutely gone. And if you're very lucky, indeed very lucky, several days later, boom, you're back. Basically, you think like you were before, and you look around, but you realize, oh no, this is different. And for me, it was waking up in the hospital and seeing my wife sitting there and looking over at the whiteboard on the wall, patient Warren Bowles, nurse, the nurse's name, the date, the diet, diagnosis, sudden cardiac death. And you go, oh, oh, my guess is this isn't good. Um, so that's what I mean by the fact that it isn't my story because I wasn't there. What I've been able to piece together over the years afterwards and the days afterwards, I was on stage in a very strange play by Brendan Jenkins called Neighbors, and it deals with the issue of race and uh, how Black culture changes and has changed over the time. And so he has an interracial couple with their daughter. He, a college professor, and they're dealing with middle class issues in a neighborhood. And this family moves in that are straight out of the 19th century minstrel shows, where we get the character Sambo and Jim Crow and Topsy and Mammy was who I was playing. So I was in blackface, the minstrel tradition. I was in a fat suit with huge functioning breasts. I say functioning because at one point there's a fire on stage, and I go over and pull breast out and put the fire out, squirting water from my breast onto the fire.
No way.
I had a monologue where I'm out alone on stage, smoking a cigarette and having this dialogue with the audience. And the stage manager tells me from the booth, he said, something's wrong. I know something is very wrong because Warren just stepped out of his light and he doesn't do that. And they tell me I stopped, froze, and went straight over backwards.
So you fell
Hit my
backwards.
Yeah, hit my head on the stage, cracked teeth in my mouth and all. I had people um, say that at least one friend said, I looked at that and I thought, wow, he really committed to that fall. Um, I was very lucky in that I missed uh, the corner of a step on the stage, because if I had hit that, it would have ripped my skull open, and people would have been more concerned about my bleeding than the fact that I was dead. And the stage manager called down to the assistant stage manager on stage, and I'm told it was very strange as she tiptoed out in street clothes from out of the scenery, going, Warren, Warren, Warren. And the theater handled it pretty well. The house manager, who now runs the theater in Atlanta, came out and told the audience that he would like them to remain in their seats because we obviously had a medical emergency. By that time, the artistic director had called 911, and we were about 6 blocks away from the firehouse because the firefighters respond first. So the EMTs come walking in, and we are almost an equal distance from Hennepin County Medical Center downtown, which is where the paramedics would come out of.
So was it announced?
Um,
Was it announced that asking if there is a doctor in the house?
you know, um, even though my wife found immediately after a cartoon where an actor is obviously down on stage and another actor is crying out into the audience, is there a doctor in the house that is in his HMO network? And um, um, but there's a very serious part to that, in that there are several people that there are, I think, two that I know for sure, who who had CPR training but were hesitant to go up on stage and do the hands-on,
Really?
scared to jump in. Now, one of them did go up on stage, but with that agonal breathing, uh, they assume, oh, he's just unconscious,
Right.
without knowing, let me check for a pulse, let me step in there and start CPR. But like I say, we were so close to the first responders that they were there within minutes.
And that's, in a previous interview I did with someone else. That's a big, it's a huge part of the success or failure of someone having a sudden cardiac arrest, whether they make it or not. And the first paramedic on the scene to Julie's sudden cardiac arrest told us a story. Is he's the countless times that they arrive at a victim who is unconscious, laying on the ground, and there's a dozen people standing around looking at the lifeless body, and I was like, "Fucking do something," you know.
Yes,
So, but
yes.
there's a fear. And, and a big, huge part is overcoming that fear. You don't want to hurt them. I don't know if you even know this, but I did CPR I play ice hockey, there was a guy who had a cardiac arrest on the ice, and it was surreal. This is probably 3 years after Julie's cardiac arrest. I just did it. I mean, literally, there's video. The camera they're showing it, and I literally push a couple people out of the way because I knew exactly what to do, and I just did it. And I broke ribs. I could hear it. I could feel it. Um,
You
and
cut the nurse.
do what?
You cut the nurse who was coming in to
Oh,
help you.
totally. Yeah. And then there was
Yeah.
a professional, medical professional came in right after me. She hip checked me out of the way. I was like, so, but that is a common thing where people are afraid to do something. And there's a stigma. And even another stigma is is, if you look at from a percentage perspective, the number of males who get CPR compared to females because their breasts. Well, you got everything's coming off. Even though you on stage had the biggest breasts in the world that day, it's like you just got to get in there. It doesn't matter. Just get in there and do something.
Well, two things I would say. First of all, to my huge breast that day, that was a very serious detriment uh, because the first responders come in and their initial thing is they see a big fat lady lying on the stage. And one of their initial things that people heard them talking about is, you know, let's not go get the Lucas, the Lucas device that does the CPR,
Sure.
because we don't think we can fit the Lucas on her. And
Because she's
that's
too
when,
big.
luckily, the people in the show were going, no, no, he's inside there,
And
that's a fat
teeth.
suit at all. And they came and they opened it. In fact, the guy who designed the fat suit was going, here, let me cut it off. Let me cut it off. Don't you guys cut it off, because he wanted to make sure it could be reused. But yeah, you know, there are effects like that. The other thing is, um, one of the things when I talk about my event, um, people think you're talking about it in the sense that you did something. There's, they kind of look to us of teach us how to survive if we're in your situation. And the fact of the matter is, there is nothing to do
Zero.
to survive. It becomes the story of the people around. And the important thing that you can learn from us is that there is a chance of survival. You have to get in there and do something. And I remember the very first time that I was taking a CPR class, and I was sitting by some paramedics, and the person training was talking about, the possibility of breaking ribs. And paramedic leaned over to me and said, "Don't worry about it. You'll break their ribs. You always break their ribs." And indeed, when I hear you talk about the hockey incident, that's one of the things that was a measure for you. The comfort with the fact of, ew, that was a rib, but we got to keep on.
And I knew I was
And
doing it right because I was breaking his ribs.
yes,
No, it was a sense of
yes,
confidence. I was like, okay, I got this.
yes, absolutely. And the thing that people need to realize is, in a very real way, you cannot hurt this person because this person is dead. Now, we don't like to use that word and all.
Oh,
No, I with one of my cardiologists once, and it's weird when you start talking about one of my cardiologists because you have a whole team on them.
yes, we
I
do.
tried to joke with him again. This was early on after my survival, and I said, okay, the heart's not beating, no breathing and all. I think we have an English word for, and he cut in and he said, "No, you were dead.
Totally.
You were dead."
Yep.
In The Princess Bride, Billy Crystal's little guy in there, where he talks about their different types of death and levels of death, that is very real. So the thing that we can bring to the situation as survivors is the confidence that it is worth doing. Jump in there and try something.
Do
If
anything.
uh, there's something that I was just reading where they're really encouraging movie and film situations to try to be pretty realistic in CPR, not little tappy tappy things, because for some people That is their basic education. I saw this on an ER movie. I saw this. I know basically how this goes because if no one else is around, it's really hard to do wrong. If you step in and do something, you can help. And that's the thing we can bring. My wife gets annoyed um, if I see paramedics by an ambulance or I see the EMTs in a store and all. I usually stop and thank and say, you know, you're looking at someone who survived.
Yeah.
And it's an important thing because even for them, it's sometimes hard to believe that people survive because more often than not, when the professionals, are working on people, they won't be successful
90% of
because
the times, yeah.
it's a weird, serious thing. You know, you have to be. I love the title of your podcast, in beating the odds, because that's all it is. It's a matter of beating the odds. If I had had my cardiac arrest 5 minutes later, I would have been alone backstage in a small changing area, and they would not have missed me until I missed my next entrance about 10 minutes later, and I would have been dead.
Yeah. Really dead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you, the thing,
So
and with,
that's the thing that we can bring, that
absolutely.
sense of it's why Christensen, the soccer player,
Yep.
Fabrice Muamba, the soccer player, Damar Hamlin,
Sure.
the football player. That was the great thing, is because they had a huge audience,
Huge audience. And that's part of
and
it too.
that
So
taught.
there is, the TV show called, The Office. And so they had one of their episodes was about the everyone and all the employees get together and gather around and we're going to learn CPR. And so, they had the mannequin down there and, they're trying to be funny because it's a funny show and comedy. And they're like, the mannequin's laying there and he's doing pounding the chest, wrong in every kind of sense of the word. It was done wrong in every way. But there's one thing that they did talk about is the beat of staying alive. And so there was a guy watching it, enjoyed the show, never got CPR trained, was in a situation where he was next to someone who had a sudden cardiac arrest. Without training, he remembered that episode and what he should do, and he saved his life.
With young people, I often say Beyonce's Texas Hold'em. Um, Staying alive, you want a heartbeat, you want a compression rate that is between 100 and 120, I think it is.
Yep.
Staying alive is 103. Texas Hold'em is 110. So it's right in the middle there.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, find something that works for you and go do it. Step in. That's
It's
the
better.
thing we bring.
The worst thing you can do is do nothing. Do
Absolutely.
anything. Do something. Even if you're screwing it up, if you're only doing it 10% the right way, that's 10% more than he would be getting or she would be getting otherwise.
Yeah. There's is it within my reach here? You edit it all. There's this thing called a rescue pod, uh, RESQ pod, and it's built in for breath, because they're just talking about it was a new way of trying uh, to truly get the breath properly in the lungs and all. Now we say just do hands on, just don't worry about it and all.
Right.
Um, but uh, they brought me in as a survivor, and the person that they brought in to talk about it from the professional end was a paramedic who had worked on me.
Oh, wow.
Now, the interesting thing about this paramedic, he was out on a call and he had a cardiac arrest in the midst of a call.
For on your
So,
call?
no, not on mine, but on a different call.
Got it.
And so his partner is kind of going, you know, what's with this guy? Because he's too good to do this, and came around and oh my God, and called, the second bus to get out there to work on him. Now, because it was one of their own, they worked on him for nearly an hour. Fabrice Muamba, they worked on for 78 minutes because they were in the midst of a stadium. So they have all of these people watching. So they kept going longer than that they normally would. I don't remember how long it was for Damar Hamlin and
It was with
Christensen,
the,
the
it was
soccer.
with Damar Hamlin. He was within 2 minutes. And actually, so one of the things that we've done at Cardiac Crusade, we had a campaign to map AEDs in Erie County and Niagara County in Western New York. We started with 115 AEDs and ended up with over 1,200 mapped. Part of our success was working with Dr. Les Besson. Dr. Les Besson is the medical director for the Buffalo Bills, and he was there with Damar Hamlin. So, he is, in this world, he's way up there. And so, but he just did the
So
right thing.
yeah. So the thing is, for it being observed, generally they would go longer. And the first responders who worked on me said afterwards, it was weird having an audience in that room because they would go, okay, we've got a rhythm back, let's go. And they would hear the audience go, oh, because not the entire audience, but there were still a goodly number of people. And oh, no, we lost him again. Oh,
Are
so they
you?
kept pushing on
Wow.
longer than they usually would. And indeed, this paramedic who went down out on the call was at 20-30 minute mark for me, was preparing my wife, going, we've done all we can. This is all. And anyway, so we're doing the video, they're asking us, and it was about this thing and all. And so they finished, and said, we got a little time and all. To him, they said, is anything you would say, in your decades of work out there? And having had them work on him for an hour or more because he was one of them, uh, he said, we always stop too soon.
Wow.
It and I'm listening to this and recognizing you know the terror and anger my wife was feeling when they were basically saying, you know we've given it a shot, he's baked, let's not worry about it. No. And he said, no, we always stop too soon.
Wow.
And so what we as survivors, I think, for what it's worth, the fact that we have survived, that we beat the odds, that's the basic gift we can give.
Yep.
It's all, you know, things falling into place. And it's worth coming in and giving it a shot. And it's worth going on for as long as you possibly can. And CPR, as you well know, is hard work. It's,
Yeah. I
if
did
you
it for three
try
minutes
5-10
straight.
minutes,
Yeah.
that's a workout.
Oh,
That's an incredible workout.
yeah.
Um, but you keep going as long as you can. I hear stories of people in isolated situations where they went on, and you hear that they continued CPR for 30 minutes, And that's incredible.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. Because
But
it is, I only did it for 3 minutes. Now I was on, my adrenaline was, you know, out the roof. But the next morning, my shoulders were sore. After 3 minutes, there was a video of it. I timed it, you know, and but yeah, that's amazing that some people can do it that long. You know, so with yours, Warren, okay, so you go down, you smack your head. It takes a couple minutes for people to kind of figure out what's going on. And that's kind of a couple clarifying things on your sudden cardiac arrest. Um, did anyone before the ambulance and EMS and paramedics arrived? Did anyone do CPR on you?
no, that's what I'm saying. And there were people who had CPR
Okay,
training who
and they
sat
know,
there.
so nobody touched you before the paramedics arrived.
Yeah.
Um, was
And
there?
do you want to know the thing that changed the theater, this particular theater for us? Um, we do in the theater we've done a lot of different work, and we've done work for Medtronic. The in-house videos for them, various training videos and all, and one of them that had been done was for AED training. So we had a prop AED that was used in that video that it's not able to give a shock, but it gives all the vocal cues and everything in it.
Sure.
And that was sitting in the box office almost as if, look, we have an AED here.
Wow.
And after me, the theater went, we need to have an AED in here, you know?
Yep.
Uh,
Of course. Which was my
yeah,
question. And what's funny is I was just about to ask the question is, was there an AED, during your sudden cardiac arrest? And the answer is, well, sort of, kind of, but no, not really.
yeah. We had to pretend one.
Yeah, that's the best
Yeah,
word for it. That's the best way to
yeah,
describe it.
yeah.
So, okay, paramedics get there and they're doing CPR on you. They take off your
Mm-hmm.
suit, your body
Mm-hmm.
suit, and they're doing compressions. And do they shock you? Does the AED, is a AED brought out on stage?
Uh, yes, I know that I was shocked. I don't know how many times.
Oh, okay.
And they did, once they realized that they could get it around me, they did bring in the Lucas device. And the people who were sitting in the room that I talked to afterwards were just talking about what an amazing machine the Lucas is. And when we were at the cast, I was at the booth for the Lucas machines, and I was going, "Oh wow, this is the Lucas 3, the third edition kind of it." Uh, when I went down, I don't think all of the ambulances had a Lucas, because a Lucas was a pretty new device, if I remember it carefully. At
So
least it
you and
was new to the medical system here. Mine was 14 years ago.
you and I know what the Lucas machine is. For those watching, explain what the Lucas machine does, please.
Uh, it looks like a spaceship.
It
I think
does.
it's the Klingons from Star Trek. So uh, it's two clamps, right? Two huge clamps that fit over the victim. There's a machine that sits on top that has basically a plunger coming down from that top clamp there. So they lock it in, and the plunger starts working, giving CPR. I say plunger because it does basically grab your chest with a vacuum seal, and does. It's I don't know about the new ones, but the first ones have a set rhythm and length of time, and they pause for a moment for them to give the breath. And it goes back into it. So where, as you said, 3 minutes, which is longer than a shift you could do in hockey, right?
It is
That's
for sure.
yeah, you know, uh, the Lucas can do a shift of as long as you want it to go,
Yeah.
and they're pretty amazing. Lucas is a brand name,
Yeah.
it's like me talking about Coke or something
Coca-Cola
like
or
that.
something. And the other thing is that
I
it
don't
does
I don't
have,
know what they call as a generic name for the machines, but it's a automated CPR machine.
and the other thing is also has what I've seen is like if you're laying down and it's over your chest and the piston's coming down on you, the plunger, um, you can Velcro your wrists up here. So it gets
Yes,
the arms out of the way and also allows
yes,
them to start doing IVs and getting, having
yes,
access.
yes,
It's an amazing machine.
yeah. Now, what you brought up there is something to keep in mind too for people who are in a situation where they watch this. And there are a couple of videos. I don't know if I saw it on your Cardiac Crusade site, if that's where I got into it. But there are a number of YouTube videos of units that come out and work uh, uh, when a victim goes down for arrest. And my wife is there, going, why are you guys here? The hospital is a mile. Get him to the hospital, get him to the hospital. And they're basically saying, there's nothing the hospital can do at this moment that we can't do. And they were a crew of two. Now, very often you get a crew of a half a dozen out
Wow.
there.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're, you know, they're infusing, you see them tearing packages up and all to start working on it for the various tubes that they all once if you can keep a person alive long enough for the professionals to get there, it's amazing what they can do. They have in that ambulance the kind of equipment and supplies and everything that many, if not most, hospitals in the world do not have. So, that's the other reason for CPR. You don't have to do CPR to rescue,
No,
right?
no.
You may, and that's a wonderful thing, but you're buying this person time,
Time. And that's
time
exact.
that they do not have.
You're buying minutes. You're
Yes,
Yep. Until the shock
yes,
from an AED can happen, either from the paramedics or hopefully from a local, when in your proximity, which is what was born from cardiac crusade was born from that. I now, after Julie's sudden cardiac arrest, I now understand the difference between a cardiac arrest and a heart attack and their night and day difference. I didn't know what that thing on the wall did. It does some electrical something. I didn't really understand it. I didn't really get it. Um, Once I did, now I understand knowing the importance of where the AEDs are located. So because if someone goes down, you got the three steps. Number one, call 911. Number two, start CPR. Number three, get the AED. Well, there's a huge gap between step two and three. Is where
yeah,
is the AED? How many
yes,
stories have you heard of someone having a sudden cardiac arrest and they die, and there was an AED 50 feet away? It's
yeah,
it's all the time. And if they just
yeah,
knew that there was an AED there, that's the difference between life and death. So
yes,
that's
yes.
that's where it
And
all comes
the
from.
other thing there that you bring up that I think um, we can't hear too much is the difference between a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. And you know, people who were talking to me after my event, because in my latter years I've been heavy all the time. They're kind of going, "Oh yeah, he's too fat. He had a heart attack," and it's like, no. totally different
Totally,
things.
totally different.
A heart attack, and
Go
I've
ahead.
made at least one friend who's had a heart attack, and I'm old enough that it's a fairly regular thing for me to have friends who've had heart attack. But he hates it when I say that heart attack ain't squat. You know, heart attack, nah. In fact, when you're given the list to choose and cardiac arrest, heart attack, take heart attack. Always take heart attack. And I'm only half facetious there because the majority, I think, of the people I know who have had heart attacks have driven themselves to the hospital. One of whom stopped for Arby's on the way. Uh, a heart attack is a plumbing thing. When it happens, you have hours to live. You know, cardiac arrest, you're down and you're in the last 8 minutes of your life unless someone helps you.
And with a heart attack, you've got the symptoms that we all have heard our whole lives, numbness, tingly, shortness of breath, chest pain. You are having a heart attack at that moment. And it could last minutes, hours, days, longer. So it is. So I've had my father-in-law, Julie and I flew to Kansas. We're in actually Wichita, relatively small airport. He picks us up so he can drive us back to Salina, where they're from. And walking in that short distance is a small airport. He gets to the car and he's like, so I'm, Julie's in the front seat. Her dad's driving, and I'm in the back seat texting Julie right in front of me, going, I don't think this is right. And I know my place. I'm the son-in-law, right? And Julie, tell your dad. And so she does. And he was like, oh, I just need to work out some more. Um, he's having a heart attack. So he got it. He got rid of us for 24 hours. And then the next day we're at Walmart and we're walking to the front counter. Same thing. And he's just doing, kind of what you see. And I'm like, I don't care that you're my father-in-law. I'm going to pull you by the earlobe and you're going to go to the hospital. 24 hours later, he's having a quadruple bypass surgery. 3 of his arteries were plus 90% blocked, and one of them was 99% blocked. And if it got to that 100, he's gone. So he was within minutes or hours or whatever, that last 1% was, from dropping dead. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so you're right. A heart attack is survivable if you pay attention to the signs and drive yourself and stop by Arby's on the way to the hospital.
Yes. Yes. It's a plumbing problem,
Right.
you know? Uh, your toilet is plugged kind of thing.
Yep.
And with we all know with a plugged toilet, if you let it sit for a while, it is all going to drain down slowly. Now, um, cardiac it's an electrical problem.
And with that, if your brain starts to die in 3 minutes, that's why you need to start CPR. You need to take
Yeah.
that 3 minutes and extend it out until you can get a shock from an AED. It's really that simple. And frankly, we all know that the national survival rate is 10% for sudden cardiac arrest, right? Do you know what is the survival rate if you get a shock within 2 minutes?
About 40%,
80.
80.
And if you get a shock within 1 minute, 90%. That's Damar Hamlin. 1 to 2 minutes, whatever it was for him. So and Julie got, my wife, she got a shock within 2 minutes. We did the timing of everything. So frankly, she's part of the 80% club instead of the 10% survival club, if you look at it from that perspective. So a cardiac arrest and a heart attack are quite survivable. Heart attack, if you pay attention to your signs and you go to the doctor. Cardiac arrest, if the stars align and you're with people who know what to do, because you can't do anything, you're unconscious. But if the people around you, call 911, start CPR to buy minutes, and then get the AED, and hopefully, soon by saying, "Hey Google, hey Siri, where's the closest AED?" which is our mission, is to do that. So, Yes, it's being prepared and taking action on both sides.
And what you were saying there is very important, is that you're trying to protect the brain.
As yeah,
One of the things when I got in, they did the thing where prophylactically they cooled my body
right.
in order to protect the brain. And uh, friends tell me, people are coming in and they're going, touch him, he's cold, he's cold. And I say, in my case, unfortunately, that was the one thing that did not work, because I know I was so much smarter before I went into that hospital.
Oh, work this one, baby. Work it. You've got it's silver platter, Warren.
But as much as I make that joke, that is the really scary thing. One of the stories, um, when people preach to me that a God or their God or whatever, you know, undoubtedly blessed me at all, I think of the story I heard early on doing research of young kids being out on a lake in a rowboat and having the girl, and if I remember the story correctly, or as my mother used to say, get the lie right, uh, that she was 19 and had the arrest. And when the responders got there, wherever they were, they did not have immediate access to equipment to get out onto the lake to rescue these kids. And so the young man had to row her back in. And the speeds that you row at and all. And so by the time they got there, they were able to revive her, but she had, you know, damage.
And that's a very very common thing. So to the 10% who survive, there is a very large percentage that have cognitive issues. Now,
Yeah.
all different degrees. Some little, some are pretty bad. Congratulations, you survived. You're part of the 10% club. But I can barely talk or walk. Frankly, that's I don't know her story exactly. I don't know what her situation is, but Kim Pagula, who is the part of the family that owns the Buffalo Bills football team, and months before, Damar Hamlin has his sudden cardiac arrest, and then later, a few months later, the mother figure, the matriarch of the family that owns the team, had a cardiac arrest. My understanding that it was in her house, and the daughters tried to do CPR or did CPR, and it just occurred to me. I think the story I heard, and I may be totally wrong on this, and I apologize if I'm wrong, but I think there was an actual AED in the house, but it never got used for some reason. Again, it's not my story to tell, but that's my understanding of what happened. But Kim Pagula was very out there in the public. She was huge in philanthropy and what the Buffalo Bills do, and the Pagula family do in their community, and loved. She doesn't go out anymore because she can't. And so that's, that's not uncommon. So, you know, someone drops, call 911, start CPR, find the AED. That one thing those steps will save lives. Warren, is there anything else about your story that I need to ask you,
Uh, you know,
or something? Anything
Again,
else you
like
want
I
to say?
say, uh, it's it, we speak to the people who witness, and uh, you very well may witness. And we're out in the public in groups more and more now. I mean, I look here in Minnesota, the number of times that we're out in masses of people, there is a very good chance that you're going to see someone go down, and you need to take action. Most states, I say most states, I don't know if it is most states, but I think most of them have Good Samaritan laws,
I think
in that
it's
basically,
across the
if
country.
is it okay that if you in good faith make an attempt to uh, to save someone, they can't come back and sue you and say you broke my rib.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
But
Sue
you're
me.
alive.
Oops, you can't sue me. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's a chance, and it's a very human thing. It doesn't happen for a reason. Remember, many years ago, there was a young basketball player who died of a cardiac arrest, and everyone was saying, "Oh, he was new to the NBA, and he was undoubtedly celebrating with cocaine and all, so it was that drugs and all, and it was his fault." And it's like, no,
No,
no, it's
no.
not. You know, so that when LeBron's son goes down, suddenly
Bronny.
we're able to say, yeah, it it can happen to anybody. It's
Anyone,
just the
anytime.
nature of the way our bodies are built.
Yep. And it doesn't matter your age, your sex, your race, whether you're fat or wearing a fat bodysuit or not. It can happen to anyone, anytime without warning. Yeah.
And that without warning is the big part of our being prepared on the outside.
Right.
You've heard the number of people in our group talk about, oh, I felt off. It was just, I was in those last minutes beforehand. I didn't have any of that,
No, Julie, neither.
you know?
Literally, she was talking like we're talking right now. She felt faint, put her hand out to the shoulder of her friend, never reached her shoulder, and dropped.
Yeah.
And she just, it was literally that quick. And she remembers, unlike your story of a couple of days, she remembers up to that moment. She also remembers up to the moment sitting up in the bed in the emergency room. But yeah, so she's got, her memory, intact. Speaking of training, one of the things that Niagara County is the largest geographic area that has been designated a heart safe city. Now, because to be a heart safe city, you've got to have these. I think it's like 13 check boxes that you've got to accomplish, and one of them, if I understand or recalling correctly, 10% of your population has to be trained in CPR every 2 years. If you've got a million people in your area, that's a lot of people. How do you do that? You know what the Buffalo Bills did? During a TV timeout, they had 80,000 of their fans during a Buffalo Bills home game. And in the video, crazy, trained them how to do CPR in a minute. The video.
You know,
How
when
many
I
lives will
am
be?
king,
How
when I
many?
am king, you cannot get a high school diploma without CPR training, and there are some areas that are like that. I have a friend here in town. She went down. She was upstairs. One of her boys realized it went down to get their father, and his older brother. His older brother was a Boy Scout and had been trained in Boy Scouts. So he went up and worked on his mother. Now, that's counseling for many years after, believe me.
Yeah.
But even so, yeah.
So, we had a very successful campaign in Western New York, Buffalo area, and then our next area was mainly Boston, but the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So there is a school district in eastern Massachusetts. There's a health teacher he teaches health to high school kids, and he has like 200 kids that he teaches on a regular basis and cycles through his classroom. He is requiring all of his kids to go get training through Cardiac Crusade training, become an AED verifier, and you're going to get volunteer hours, 1 hour for every AED that you map and verify. You get an hour of volunteer time credited to working, finding AEDs, and that effort alone, oh man, I think we're well over 300 AEDs that those high school students mapped. So yes, it is what Warren. What we're trying to do is eat. You know how you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. And we've eaten an elephant. We've had incredible success. The problem is that there's a herd of elephants that we still have in front of us, and we have a long way to go. But we've made progress. But oh my God, we've got a long way to go.
Well, and the thing that I love about your program is that you are so open and you talk to people, because the big thing is you got to make people care also,
That's it.
you know? And we take it for granted that people do, but no, this is a huge project. I'm old enough that, I remember Kennedy saying that, we're going to take a man to the moon and back in this decade. And suddenly, as a nation, we kind of say, science is cool and let's do this. Well, that's kind of what we have to do
Yeah.
with dealing with this health thing. We can save people, you know, let's do it.
And part of it, and on that, I was talking to Kim earlier in a previous interview, and she changed the way laws are made, and also protocols are made for 911 systems. So she changed how the calls are taken by 911 operators. They changed X because of X, and that change, so a kid was saved, a boy was saved, and she was able to hug him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's worth it. So with us, I had a lot of help with AI with this one, but I wanted to get a sense of what are we doing? What does it matter? Are we making a difference? Because I want to be able to hug the kid or person or whatever. I want to see, give me something tangible I can literally put my arms around. Um, so statistically, well, before I get there, um, our efforts have mapped over 10,000 AEDs. So that's where we are right now as a group to date. We've surpassed 10,000. Now, I'm not going to find out John Smith is now alive because of HIPAA rules. But
Hmm.
statistically, population density, the number of AEDs, and I threw a bunch of numbers into my little AI machine to help me figure out something. And the result came out to we're saving 16 lives every year. Now that's going to be cumulative, and it will grow exponentially year after year as we add more AEDs. As the AEDs save more lives every year, so that's as close as tangible that I've been able to get my arms around. Even though I'd love to meet someone that is alive because of one of my it's not my our volunteers. They're the ones who are doing the boots on the ground. That person is alive
Well,
because of that.
one other thing,
Yeah.
and uh, again, I look to especially the professionals, the first responders, that we can convince that this is, this is worth doing, that, we can try. Because you saw at CAS, especially when they brought in the Phoenix firefighters and saw the way they team approach now a survival situation. You go, once they go, oh, there is hope, they're not going to go out and say, okay, we gave it a shot. This is the most that we can do. They're looking at each other and looking at their equipment and going, you know, we can make this better if, when we come in, if you always set that bag 5 feet closer to me, I can access it. All those little incremental things that then they pass on to a neighboring city that passes it on to a neighboring state, and things get better and better for us,
Yeah.
you know?
And we've got our national average is 10%. What if we make it 11 or 15 or 20? Now, we live in Plano, and my recollection is that our survival rate in this city is about 20%, which is freaking amazing when you look at it's double the national average. Yeah. But then you look at San Diego, where they have 2,600 plus AEDs mapped. Depends on where you are in the city, of course. 50 to 70% survival rate. It is
Yeah.
mapping AEDs and knowing what to do and having a plan in place will save lives, to your point, if you take action.
And the other thing that you have to take into consideration with that, um, cardiac arrest is not rare.
No.
Cardiac arrest is the primary killer of people.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the number of people who die, you know, and you take 1% of that, you can easily be talking hundreds of thousands of people.
Absolutely. This is doing these simple little things and being able to duplicate what we're doing. It's hard to put my arm around it and my brain around it. And, I'm just doing my little thing, talking to people, mapping an AED here and there. Oh, man. Warren, is there anything else?
I think not. I look down at the clock and I go, oh,
I
Warren,
did
you can
too.
run your mouth like
I
mad.
did. The thing is that we could do this for another couple hours. Okay.
Only because I managed to survive.
Yeah. Yes. All you, baby. It's all because of you.
No, I mean, I can do it only because I survived. You, those of us who survive, it's a wonderful gift. It really is, and we know
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do something like Cardiac Crusade like you have because I'm too lazy, but I do appreciate the fact that there are things that I can do.
And telling your story is a big part of it. Yeah.
Hell,
Yeah. Okay, Warren, you're the best in the world. I so appreciate you. We will look forward to the next time. And anything else?
not from me.
All right, Warren, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on the show with us, my little podcast, and having a conversation and sharing yourself and your story with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Greg. It's been great talking to you, and I beat the odds.
Yes, you did, and I came up with that name, and I'm like, ooh, that's perfect. So congratulations on beating the odds, and we're going to make those odds even better. Warren, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.